Hi everyone, Simon Keeling here. It is Wednesday 23rd of January. Thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. As always, the site to get free of charge by the adverts that you see around the screen here, and when you come back and use the site and use the charts, that's what keeps us free of charge when you use the adverts, etc. So thank you for doing that. Okay, still looking at milder weather on the way, but I think it's going to take a bit before the mild weather gets across all parts of the country. These are interesting charts as well. This is from the PSU eWall site, and it's the 7 to 10 day mean of the 500 millibar flow running from next Wednesday through to Saturday. Been showing you these over the last few days, and what's interesting here is that these are the charts from next Wednesday through to Saturday. Look at the size of the ridge that builds across Europe here, but look at this jet straight across the Atlantic. Now, what that's doing, that jet, as it's coming across the Atlantic, and you notice it here, look on both charts, the ECMWF and on the GFS, is it's digging this trough further and deepening it further into Europe. So this trough digging into Europe. Now, what's interesting is that as that trough digs in, what you tend to find happen is that there'll be almost a kind of compensatory ridge that tries to get building further towards the west, and the ECMWF tries to pick on it just here, look. So what we've got to watch for is this milder weather coming in, yes, but is it only a temporary breakdown in conditions before it goes cooler in February? Getting some backup for that as well from the longer range models, which I'll show you in just a moment. This is then the GFS forecast, and if we just get back to today, again, don't forget this is available from weatherweb.net. There we go, on to the 23rd. This is the position as we have it this evening. Low pressure off towards the southwest. This is the area of snow that's been affecting much of the Midlands, Wales as well. You can see it there extending through Northern Ireland. Now, as we go through the sequence, the flow comes into the east during tomorrow. Ridge of high pressure builds in, so not much going on weather-wise tomorrow. Just very cold overnight and perhaps a few freezing fog patches on Thursday. Then into Friday morning, a very cold night, clearer skies, I think, particularly for central and eastern parts of the country, kind of in here. We could be looking at lows as low as minus 12 degrees. Then what we find is that during Friday, low pressure develops to the west of Scotland. It's pushing this rain eastwards. Now, watch what happens to that. As it comes eastwards, it goes through quite quickly, but it's coming up against the cold block of air that's toward the east. So, as it comes over the top, it's going to kick off as snow on its leading edge here, but turn increasingly to freezing rain behind it here. And then I think what we'll find is that front goes through on Saturday, and although we get a ridge of high pressure build in, it looks as if it's still going to be a cold day. Note the strong winds there across northern Scotland as well as the low pressure moves through. Then we get a second hit that comes through here, look, during the course of Sunday. That pushes heavy rain eastwards early on Sunday, and we're followed by semi-brighter weather. But I think on both Saturday and Sunday, big problem with lots of low cloud, lots of mist, lots of fog, lots of murk, particularly with the surface being so cold. And then into Monday, eventually, we pick up a southwesterly flow. We find rain heavy at times affecting these western parts of the country, and that's going to be a big feature of the weather of the coming week, because these sort of areas here are looking probably at potentially as much as 4 inches of rain falling here during the course of the week. The southwesterly flow comes in, it gets milder through Tuesday, and then we find this sort of unsettled west to southwesterly flow kicking in through the course of the week. But it's that temperature rise that interests me and how it takes place. This is the GFS short-term forecast for London. Here's Saturday, look, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday's in here. You can see how, look, these temperatures kind of stay fairly flat, look, right the way through until Tuesday, when they finally become milder. But even then, the GFS still only wants to bring it up to about 5 degrees. Pretty wet as well there, look, as the rain goes through. Looking at other cities, Birmingham, very similar, look, it's kind of into, well, where are we there, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it's into Tuesday again before it picks up. And similar story as well for Manchester, for Glasgow, for Aberdeen, for Belfast, although Belfast is milder with that southwesterly flow kicking in more there. And you can see across Ireland, much milder conditions coming through there after this colder start. So I think the message is, don't think it's going to be mild there all the way, that's it, come Saturday. I think it's going to take a time for the cold to get out of the ground, for the snow to thaw away, and for us to see temperatures rising. And the problem with that is, as the warm air comes across the cold surface, mist and fog and low cloud are going to become pretty widespread. So the charts may actually be quite deceptive. On the ensemble, what that's showing is this rise of temperature coming up here, look, and excuse me, this early period of milder weather, but then look, the temperature's starting to dip off in February, and that's something that I want to pick up on through the rest of the forecast, because excuse me, although we see milder air coming in during the coming week, it does look as if cold air isn't completely done with us just yet. So if we take a look at the Korean, which has just become available, this is the Korean long range forecasts, and this is the period for early February, and what it shows us is trough across the central parts of Europe, ridge out here towards the west, and what we would find in that situation is pressure being something like that down to the trough there. We find a flow, probably a coolish flow early February. So those are those temperatures that picked up on the GFS here, look, are starting to fall off again. So it's cool temperatures, perhaps 1 or 2 degrees below normal for the time of year. 850s pick up on that as well for early February. Look, the blue colours there signifying that temperatures below normal. Then into the middle part of February. This is how the Canadian sees things in the middle part of February. What it's doing is it brings back in the idea of that trough, looks still out towards the east of the country, but this ridge out towards the west. Now it's a pattern something like that. So what we're going to find is that that ridge just gets this southwest flow into it. It builds all the time, and it brings in cooler northwesterly winds. So we'll bring snow showers across the north, brings a fall in temperature through most parts. And on the 850s, you can see there, look, that cold block of air. These are the 850 anomalies, so the blue showing us where it's colder than normal. You see that cold block of air there across the UK. Here's the warmer stuff out in the Atlantic associated with that ridge. And then late February, the Korean then decides that what it's going to do is to build the block back towards the north. Look, there it is. That block is sat in there with the jets down here, low pressure down here, and the result of that is that if you get high pressure up here, low pressure down here, is that we get a cold northeasterly kicking in again. So the Koreans certainly saying, look, we're not over with winter yet. There is a possibility of this cold weather coming back after this briefer, milder interlude. And the 850s picking up on that too. Look, cool to the north and the east of the UK. Now what's interesting is that if we look at the CFS forecast, this is week 1, and you have to twist your head round, don't forget, for these. There's the UK under there, look, and what that was showing was the ridge up to the north, the blocks are up towards the north. Here's the lows down here, jet stream picking up, yep, through it comes, and we're kind of accepting this idea of the jet by now is through here, and it becomes milder just at this end part of February. But just look at this. This is the CFS for weeks 3 and 4. That there, that early position for February with the ridge there and the trough in there. There's the ridge, there's the trough, look. Just compare that to how the Koreans saw it, look, during the early part of February. Virtually exactly the same, look, trough, ridge, okay? And that's what the CFS has got on it as well, look. There's your trough, there's your ridge. So let's see forward from the CFS and see what it does for middle part of February. Well, it builds back in the block, look, towards the north. It takes the trough further towards the east, and that would bring in these cold northeasterly winds. And that again is tying in with this idea that the Korean had from middle to late February. So we've got to seriously think about the possibility that the cold weather may well return, and we may well get another bite of winter during February, particularly from mid to late on in the month. Excuse me, of course we'll be watching how this develops, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on. So that's it for now. Thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. Don't forget, we're kept free of charge by the ads you see around the screen, by you coming back, using the charts and using the site. That's what keeps us free of charge. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for telling your friends about us, and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.